I det här programmet får vi träffa Mariandra Heunis som har kommit till Sverige från Sydafrika för att informera om attackerna som drabbar vita personer boende på landsbygden. Hennes man blev brutalt mördad inför hennes och hennes barns ögon. Hon berättar att ett genomgående tema vid dessa attacker är att förövarna inte bryr sig om att stjäla några ägodelar. Hon informerar också om Black Economic Empowerment, BEE, som är en systematisk diskriminering av vita personer vid anställning som ANC har implementerat i Sydafrika för mer än 10 år sedan. Det är ett system där företagen får låg ranking om de anställer vita. Hon berättar också om en fruktansvärd otrygghet som råder, där man måste ha galler för fönstren, låsta grindar, vakter och även extra grindar mellan sovrummen och resten av bostaden för att få lite längre tid på sig om någon bryter sig in. Hon säger att polisen inte räcker till utan att man är beroende av privata vakter och vaktbolag. Det är enligt Mariandra en allmän uppfattning bland vita att det är helt otänkbart att lämna även stora barn hemma utan tillsyn. De måste ständigt vaktas och även noga följa de säkerhetsinstruktioner de får för att undgå kidnappning. I detta program går vi framförallt igenom situationen kopplad till mordet på hennes man och omständigheter runt denna typ av attacker. Notera att ordet farmer har en vidare betydelse och gäller personer bosatta på landsbygden. Välkommen till Lördagsintervju med Webb-TV. Jag heter Mikael Wilgert. Med mig här i studion idag har jag Mariandra Heunis. Välkommen.
Thank you very much.
Mariandra kommer från Sydafrika och hon representerar änkorna till farmare som har blivit mördade. Och hon är här i Sverige för att berätta om situationen i Sydafrika. So, very welcome. And before we start here, please, could you make a short presentation of yourself?
Yes, I am Mariandra Heunis. I'm from South Africa. I'm a widow from a farm attack. I am a single mom of 4 children after the attack. And my decision I took after this happened is to create the necessary awareness for these farm attacks and the situation in South Africa currently.
And that's why you are here in Sweden?
That's why I'm here in Sweden, yes. Mm-hmm. You read the reports every day and I started classifying them as being good or bad. So when someone dies, it's good, it's bad. If someone didn't die, it's good. Also the thing that I've found in my discussions with other widows and other victims is that sometimes, and I felt like this before as well myself, that sometimes I did wonder maybe it would have been better or easier if we had died that night too.
The whole family?
Yeah, because to survive such a horrific, traumatic event is almost worse. That night happened once, but you keep reliving it, and you have to continue life hopefully and in a good way despite of what happened.
How many years ago is it now?
It was almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not so long time.
Yeah, it's not so long ago, but it feels like a lifetime because that's essentially what it is. It's a different lifetime. And so much has happened in 2 years for us to be able to move forward from there, because I had to start from scratch. Like, I had no income, we had no backup financially. I had to find new place to stay, new schools, new job, new baby, new everything. So
you were wearing a baby.
Yes.
When it happened.
Yeah, I was 8 months pregnant at the time.
But I think you mentioned that these people that were entering into your house and killed your husband, they did not steal anything.
Mm-mm. No, and that's in majority of the farm murders, that's the case. They don't go to steal, they go to murder. It's in most of the cases they don't steal anything. Mostly they take the phones so that you can't communicate, you can't phone for help. So that's the thing that's always taken is the phones. But otherwise, and I mean in our case, we offered them everything. We even told them where to find all the valuables. And
but they did not care.
They said, we're here to kill you. And they did kill him.
So that they actually said that.
Yes. Yeah.
And is that something that is organized or?
Yes. The farm attacks, that's why I say it has to be seen as a unique crime and treated as such, because the planning that goes into such an attack is different than just your normal murder. I have done some research on it, and there's not just the two people that come into the house, in our case the two that came in. There's the lookouts that they basically do surveillance on the family for months to see the comings and goings and security measures and times, and then you've got your people that gives out information, inside information, like where can we get in, where's a weakness in the house, do they have dogs, do they have weapons, things like that. And then it's the people that actually does the attack, and then you've got the people that help them get away. So that it's quite a big organization to do this.
Would you say it's an organization, in your case, it was well organized and it was planned. Is there any organization that is planning these attacks in different places? Or do they have a common leadership, so to say, or is it just something popping up every here and there?
That's what we are trying to ascertain. We are trying to get behind that, because we have noticed a trend in the farm attacks where when there's a case of hate speech by the EFF, who regularly they have a song, Kill the Bird, when they incite people, the farm attacks spike. So that's a trend we've noticed, but how it happens, how it's planned, how they decide on where to, how to, the organization of it, if we knew that, we could probably better prevent it. So that's, it's still, we don't know. And the police, they don't see it as a unique crime. So it doesn't get acknowledged. It's not a problem. According to the government, it's not a problem.
Because the crime rate or the murder rate in South Africa is so extremely high.
Yes.
So even if this is a high number of farmer attacks, the total crime rate is tremendous.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's how they argue it, that it's not a unique crime, because how can you complain about the number of farm murders if there's this much amount of murders overall? But you can't compare the two, because it's not the same crime, and that's the point we're trying to make. That's why we're trying to do awareness for this being a unique crime.
These people that planned this and entered into your house, did you have any connection to those people, or have you found any connection between anyone that was in this attack?
Nothing. There has been no connection. Many of these cases go unsolved. There is progress on the case now, but I don't really have a lot of trust in the justice system, so we'll see where it goes. But many of the cases, and the police are not equipped for it, and there's too much, there's too many. There's really too many. The statistics for farm murders alone, since between January and end of July, was 288 farm attacks, of which 43 were murders.
Is it in common with all these that they don't care about the money?
Yeah, they
100%.
Really, they'll take a vehicle, but the vehicle is normally found not far from there. So there's no valuables taken. Maybe as a bonus they'll take jewelry or cash, but very rarely.
That is not the purpose.
It's not the purpose. It's not the purpose.
So what is the purpose?
I think it's in two parts. It's to spread fear.
So it's a terror.
I would say it's a terror attack, because they mostly take out the head of the household in most cases. It's the head of the household that gets taken out. And the cruelness of it. I mean, we were lucky that there was no torture involved. And it's very unfair to say I'm grateful that it could have been worse. But it could have been worse, because in other cases, people are brutally tortured for hours. I mean, burnt with boiling water. There's cases where a little girl was crucified on the kitchen table after being raped. Horrible things, melted plastic, burnt with irons. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. And that's the trend of these attacks, is the brutality of it. And that's also what makes it a unique crime.
So, and in these attacks that you mentioned, is it 100% white people that are attacked?
It is mostly white people. There are cases of a black farmer here and there, workers that also gets killed in these attacks. So it is, but it's all surrounding the farmer. So basically, I would say that the workers involved on the farm, if they're in the line of fire, they will be killed. There are cases.
But the target is the white people that are the white farmers.
Yes.
And the people that are planning and making these attacks, what group is that?
It's blacks. The statistic shows it. We're not allowed to say it. We're not allowed. It is not. We are not allowed to report on it, on race. But if you look at AfriForum, for instance, they keep their own statistics on these murders because the government statistics are unreliable because of this, that we aren't allowed to classify. But yes, it is blacks.
And they don't take any valuables, and they normally kill the head of the family, so to say. But and the motives are quite unclear. But it sounds like the reason is, I mean, there could be several explanations. One reason could be that they want to get rid of this family. I mean, in your case, you mentioned that you have moved to the town and somebody has taken over the farm. Is that...
that could be.
What happens normally? Because you mentioned earlier that the government is planning to take the land from more than 100 farmers. But this is another way to do the same thing, more or less.
Most times the families do move away from the farm because of the trauma. You can't stay after something like that happened. But there are cases where the people refuse to move and say, this is my land. Even though this happened, I will stay here because generations have done so. I will not move from here. There was another lady the other day, old lady. She was attacked 4 times already on the same farm, and she refuses to move. She was shot through her jaw. It's horrible, the last attack. She says, I will stay here, this is my land. And they keep coming back.
Innan vi går vidare vill vi påminna om att SvebTV är en partipolitiskt obunden kanal. Vi är endast beroende av våra tittare för ekonomiskt stöd. Notera att vårt nya Swish-nummer är 123 535 8692. If they use a lot of time to plan this and do this and they don't earn anything from it.
Why?
Yeah. So this is something you also wonder.
Yes, it's a big question. Why?
But people leave the countryside then. That could be one.
That could be. It could be a result of the hate speech. It could be the question of land. It could be. It's not. They tend to say that it's robberies gone wrong. No, it's not. This is not a farm murder. This is not what you say it is because it's a robbery gone wrong. If it's a robbery, they would steal things. They would take stuff. They wouldn't come in there and torture people or overkill. And I think that's the biggest other element to it. It's not like they come in, they shoot you, they leave. they shot my husband, for instance, 5 times and then shot him in the head, execution style. They make sure it's like that overkill. And that's quite a normal trend amongst all the farm attacks. It's that overkill, it's the extreme torture, and that makes, it's not just crime, it's not a robbery.
Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot of hate.
Yeah, it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be, otherwise I don't know how you can do that. It takes a special kind of evil to do those things.
But is this, if we say that this is some sort of hate crime?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned here that there are a lot of attacks in the countryside against farmers and others, and it seems as they don't want money.
Yes.
They want to kill.
Yes.
And they want to make it as painful as possible.
Yes.
And also a very great pain for those that are not killed, because it's not a random mass killing, it's more like killing one person.
Yes.
And if the reason is that they have a hate to this family, these white people, because it's mainly white people, or almost only white people, then the question is, if this is something that is planned and that is engaging a lot of people, that is committing this crime, what is the everyday life? I mean, do you meet this kind of hate in the everyday life, in the shop, or on the way to the children care? Or
in some instances, yes, you do see it and you feel it on street, in the shops, and there's certain attitudes amongst that scare you and they intimidate you, and it's like they go out of their way to let you know that you should be scared of us. There are those characters, yes. You do find it in normal.
Is it both ways also that black people will meet that kind of...
I'm sure it goes both ways, yes. I'm sure there is whites that also act in a similar way in attitude. Yes, because the tension is growing between the races, it is.
And earlier the white people were in the driving seat. What is the situation today?
I think that the tables has turned where that is concerned because of BEE. Black people are favoured to get the high positions, and obviously then it happens that they are now the high earners and the high rollers. And yeah, also when you talk about the land expropriation, it's also in their favor at this stage, where they take land from white farmers and redistribute it amongst black people because they deserve it. They need to get their land back, according to them.
So the government takes part of the land from farmers, or the complete farm? Or
yes, the whole farm.
The whole farm.
Mm. Yeah, the government has identified 139 farms that they have earmarked to take from farmers and redistribute it to black people. And that's without compensation, which is against our constitution, but the government is now in the process of amending the constitution to allow this, which is in essence against our basic rights.
So all these farms are taken without compensation. What should these people live from then?
That's the question. That's the whole problem. It's not fair. Where should they go? Some of these farmers have lived and farmed for generations on that farm. For it now to be taken away, then what? Where should they go? And basically the feeling is that the first thought that comes up is to immigrate, to move to another country. Our immigration numbers are quite high. I've read a report the other day that they said it's at the highest, people leaving South Africa currently because of these issues. And the government's attitude about it is leave if you want.
So you say that white people are tending to leave
Yes.
South Africa?
Yes. The choice is made or based on the situation in South Africa, the crime, the looming land expropriation, because it all steers in a direction where we have no rights. So what do you do? Where do you go if you can't generate a good income because of BEE? Crime is everywhere. You're not safe. You can't raise your kids in an environment like that. The standards of education, of service delivery, everything is going downwards. So what is your best option is to leave the country. And that in itself is not fair because it's our country too.
Is it educated or rich people, or what would you say?
Unfortunately, it is. You have to have the financial abilities to move. Not everyone can just pack up and move. So yes, at this stage, it is the people that has the financial abilities to do that. The rest, we either have to. I think it's each of our own responsibility, and it lies with each of us to stand together as a minority group.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing that?
We are not doing it yet. There are organizations but there are still a lot of people that just goes with the flow at this stage. And I think my personal opinion, when we get to the point where they want to stand together as a whole, it'll be too late.
Sweden was quite engaged in promoting ANC, and there has been billions of crowns transferred to South Africa, also undercover through Swiss banks, and so the social democratic parties had been caught with that. What do you think about Sweden's role in this process? Was this something that was good, or?
In retrospect, no, it wasn't good. It's not good. I think Sweden tried still to this day to remain neutral, a neutral country in these conflicts, and I think it wasn't sold to them as it would go down this route. I don't think they ever thought it would go down this route it is going now. Obviously, Sweden's aid tipped the control. This
situation you have today, you think Sweden is quite responsible for that?
I wouldn't say they are responsible for it. They are responsible for aiding the ANC to come into the controlling position that they were from there. And from there, it went from bad to worse. I mean, so I wouldn't say that Sweden is directly responsible for what is going on in the country. No, that is our government. Yeah.
When Nelson Mandela became president, I think at that time there was some sort of process to clean up the past, so to say, and
level it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what has happened after that?
There was never a leveling of anything. I think it's the ideal to be equal and to all respect each other and live peacefully and all have the same opportunities and rights, but that's not what happened. No, it went the other way, the opposite direction.
Why?
I actually had a discussion about this with someone the other day regarding the farm attacks, and some say, a lot of people say, but it's payback for apartheid. There's that opinions internationally as well, people that says, yeah, but look what you did in apartheid, so you can't complain about this. There is those opinions.
Is it true?
That you think this happened? I don't know. personally, I feel apartheid was too long ago to still be riding this wave. There's been so many, with BEE, with all these things put in place to pull up the disadvantaged, to give them, to make right what was wronged. For how long? Now it has been done in such a manner that the scales have tipped to the other side completely. Almost like a reversed apartheid towards the whites. Yes, I do think that that's my personal opinion.
But this is 25 years ago now, since almost 25 years, yes, since Mandela entered to president. And you say that maybe still there is problems related from that time.
I wouldn't say there is problems relating to that time, but it is used as they justify a lot of things by, yes, but do you remember apartheid? So a lot of their actions they justify by, remember what you did to us. And in fact, if you look at it technically like that, I wasn't part of apartheid. Me, myself, wasn't part of apartheid. My husband wasn't part of apartheid. The generation today is not part of apartheid. Neither are the people that are complaining about it. It's an era gone by, yet it's still this big elephant in the room. And I don't think we'll ever have equality, equal rights, equal opportunities if you keep this elephant in the room the whole time and keep referring to it, yes, but.
So what should you do to handle this, you think?
As a minority group?
As a country?
As a country? I honestly don't have the answer to that. That's a very difficult question. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But if I understand you right, your feeling is that the trend is not in the right direction.
Yes, no, it is not going. I think it is negative. It is going towards the negative side. And either we have to... There's no easy answer for this. Because I think once the scales are tipped in such a manner that the difference is so big between majority and minority, that's very difficult, and I think it'll take a very long time to equal it out again. So, yeah, that's... I don't know what the solution is, to be honest.
Oh, let's hope someone will find a solution to it.
Yes, we hope so.
Du bidrar enklast genom Swish eller bankgiro. Eller bli gärna månadsgivare genom periodiska överföringar från ditt bankkonto till vårt bankkonto. Det är också möjligt att betala med kreditkort genom att trycka på knappen Donate på vår hemsida. Du hittar alla kontouppgifter längst ner på hemsidan swebtv.se. Skicka mejl till info@swebtv.se om du vill tipsa eller komma med på vår mejllista. Vi använder vår mejllista endast för att informera om våra program och annat liknande. Prenumerera också på vår kanal på YouTube. Kontrollera att den här lilla klockan har symbolen av att den skälver så att du får alla aviseringar.